Hey class, long time no see. Today I'll be doing exactly what I did for my last passion project. In case you forgot, I went over a few of the laws in the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. You guys know the drill, let's get right to the Wii Sports Resort. Law number 10, avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. Emotional states are as infectious as diseases. Their misfortune could infect you. Our story begins with a stunningly gorgeous Irish dancer named Mary Gilbert, who went under the stage name of Lola Montez. Montez was really good at f***ing up the lives of every man that came in it. Her first love was an Englishman named Tom. Montez married Tom but kinda ditched him to travel the world in hopes of boosting her dancing career. In the 1840s, Montez traveled to France, and by 1845 her career was just about over. To pay the bills, she was forced to become a courtesan on the streets of Paris. Montez didn't want to be a thought for the rest of her life, so she made connections with Alexandre Dujarrier, the owner of the most prominent newspaper in France. Dujarrier quickly fell in love with her, and he began publishing newspaper panels on the spectacular performances of Lola Montez. Now, Dujarrier was kind of whipped low-key, and when business partners saw this weakness, they began to distance themselves. Things got worse for Dujarrier when he got really hammered at a party and offended a man by the name of... oh boy, these damn French names. Jean-Baptiste Rosamond de Beauvalon. Angered, Beauvalon challenged Dujarrier to a pistol duel. Beauvalon was one of the sharpest shooters in France, and Dujarrier was hilariously wasted, so you can guess how that played out. Montez was heartbroken, and with the money she had left, she moved to Munich, Germany in 1846. Once there, she had to find a man who could boom her dancing career. She figured that King Ludwig of Bavaria might have some power, and so she set her sights onto him. After seducing key people in his cabinet, Montez finally had a chance to speak with Ludwig. It was her, Ludwig, and some guards in a room. Ludwig was like, I don't have time to see anyone right now, I got important king stuff to do. So Montez pushed her way past the guards, and in doing so, accidentally ripped the top of her dress open. Her bare breasts were brazenly bestowed upon the breathless bystanders, and the king was like, on second thought, let's get lunch. Thus, she got what she wanted and performed on the Bavarian stage in front of thousands of spectators. And the show was terrible. Montez didn't really care though, since her sugar daddy was literally a king, and all she had to do was beg like a puss in boots and she was set for life. The German people began to see Ludwig as a pushover and under the charming spell of a beautiful woman. Rioters took to the streets and the kingdom of Bavaria was in chaos. Protesters chanted, Raus mit die Schlampe, which when translated means, let's just say it's not a compliment. In 1848, Ludwig had to succumb to the pressure and reluctantly banished Montez. She then fled back to the UK and met a promising young army officer by the name of George Tafford Heald. Heald fell under her spell and proposed in 1849, and she said yes because she's a cougar. Let's rewind though. Remember that Tom guy? Yeah, well, she's still married to him too. That's bigamy. That's illegal. She gets some charges, skips her trial, and then dips to Spain. So let's recap. She's in Spain, she's broke, and she's a fugitive to the entire English Empire. But at least she's got a man. Until they get in an argument and she pulls a knife and he pulls a divorce. Heald then moved to Portugal where he lived in poverty and died tragically young in a boating accident. Meanwhile, Montez moved to California searching for her next victim to swoon. That victim was Pat Hull, who married her in 1853. Now this marriage epically sucked. Here's a graph to show how much it sucked. Montez left Hull for another man, which sent Hull into a deep, alcohol-fueled depression that ended with his suicide. Lola Montez died in 1861 with no money, no husband, and no legacy. The moral of the story? If I'm being honest here, there is no moral. Montez was just a sad sack of shit. Law number 12. Use selective honesty to disarm your opponents. Gestures of politeness and generosity can bring an opponent's guard down. One sincere and genuine move will cover over dozens of lesser ones. It's the Roaring Twenties in Chicago, and we're here to see a Mr. Al Capone. Who are we? We're Count Victor Lustig. Who's Count Victor Lustig? A really good con artist. Lustig promised Capone that if he gave him $50,000, he would be able to double it in a matter of 30 days. As appealing as that sounds, Capone doesn't just want to shell out 50 grand to some total stranger with a funny last name. But Capone figured, hey, I spend more than that on cocaine each week, so why not, right? Lustig received the $50K and put it in a safety deposit box, where it sat, untouched, for 30 days. During this month, Lustig made no attempt to double the money. He returned to the notorious mobster and said, I'm sorry, Mr. Capone. I was unable to double your money. I have failed you. At this point, Capone is thinking of which part of the river he should dump Lustig's body, when Lustig says, I'm sorry that my plan didn't work out. Here's your initial investment, $50,000, every penny. Again, please accept my most profound apologies. Capone stopped, looked at Lustig, and said, I knew you were a con the second you walked through my door. I knew I was either going to get $100,000 or nothing. But this, getting my money back, this is something else. He paused. My God, you're an honest con man. I never knew such a thing existed. Capone was so tickled by this that he counted out $5,000 from the stack, handed it to the con man, and sent him on his way. Lustig was a smart con man, so he knew that Capone spent his life distrusting others. That's just business. A man like Capone yearns to be the recipient of an honest or generous gesture, so when a con man approaches him and doesn't try to rob him, he was grateful. Law number 15. Crush your enemy totally. Show no mercy. Leave no room for retaliation. It's 6:50. We're in China and the political scene is ruthless, but that didn't stop Wu Qiao from trying to get what she wanted. Qiao was just another concubine of Emperor Keo Tsung, so she had a lot of competition trying to win the emperor's favor. Being that Qiao was prettier and smarter than all the other concubines and servants, she eventually managed to find her way into the emperor's bed. Fast forward 9 months and Qiao gives birth to the emperor's secret bastard child. Emperor Tsung's wife doesn't know who the baby is, so naturally she thinks he's the cutest little thing in the world. But Qiao sees a sinister opportunity here. After the empress leaves, Qiao smothers her own newborn baby with a pillow. Now that's pretty f***ed up, but it was a smart move. Why was killing a baby a smart move? Because who do you think will be blamed when news comes out that the emperor's illegitimate son is killed right after a visit from the empress? So the empress is executed for murdering a baby. Who's the empress gonna be now, thought Tsung. How about the woman that I'm already sleeping with? Perfect. The two marry and have kids. 4 of them. All boys. The aging Qiao no longer has her good looks, and so Tsung turns his gaze upon her beautiful niece, who Qiao promptly poisoned. Her 4 sons are in line for the throne, but her favorite son is the youngest one. The eldest son is illegitimate and was exiled. The second eldest son was touted as the apparent heir, but he was poisoned as well. The second youngest son had the crown in his grasp, but Qiao declared him unfit for the throne on some fabricated notions. That makes Qiao's youngest son the new emperor of China.